Hello everybody. As many of you know, I am a big fan of Lauren May Beauty. I love her content, I love her videos, and I was scrolling through her channel the other night and I came across this title that really spoke to me. And in that video she was talking about makeup artists versus makeup influencers, and I decided to do my own spin on that topic. And in today's video I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of watching makeup artists versus makeup influencer and vice versa. I'm going to talk about where I stand on this spectrum, if you will, and I hope to use this video as an opportunity to open up some dialogue and discuss these different subcategories of the makeup industry here on YouTube. The difference between the makeup artists and the makeup influencers on YouTube, how one may or may not be better than the other, and all of that. So in my mind, I do think that makeup artists and makeup influencers have some similarities, but they are in and of themselves very, very different categories. I have noticed that a few individuals here on YouTube have managed to mesh the two categories together to basically create content for their own channel, but I do think that in general there is a pretty strong divide between makeup artists and influencers. But I do want to get into what I think differentiates these two subcategories of the makeup world. I do think that something that really indicates the difference between the two is that makeup artists tend to look at makeup application as their business, as their moneymaker. Influencers tend to get their money from entertainment and makeup. So essentially, artists use makeup as business. Influencers are there for entertainment purposes. They might be there for educational purposes as well, but if we are generalizing a bit, I think it's clear to say that influencers do tend to be there for entertainment purposes. They want to make a connection with you. They want to have like an open dialogue. They want to communicate. Makeup artists tend to be there specifically for the job of applying makeup on clients. So therefore, these professions are very different, and what they bring to the table reflects that as well. So makeup artists tend to be a little bit more trained. Some don't go to makeup school, but you also have some artists that do go to makeup school. They're trained in hygiene. They are trained in makeup application on different faces. They usually are more informed as to how to apply makeup on different face shapes, how to work with different skin tones, skin types. They also tend to be a lot more informed about hygiene and expiration dates, which is something that influencers, including myself, typically don't necessarily need to concentrate too much on. Because for me, okay, if I don't wash my brushes in a week, all right, and I'm using like the same brush for several different shadows, it's not going to matter because I'm not doing makeup on anybody else except myself. And I've mentioned that several times, and I'm going to say it again. Yes, it does not matter because I'm applying makeup on myself and myself only. So this sounds disgusting, but if a brush falls on my carpet or if a false eyelash falls on my carpet, I'm going to clean it off a little bit and I'm still going to use it on my face. Other people might have different opinions, but I would never do that if I was a makeup artist. I would never do it if I was working with a client, which I am not, because I'm not a working makeup artist and I don't bring that kind of information to the table. Also, expiration dates. If a product smells funny or has like a weird kind of texture that it didn't have when I first bought it, I'm going to not use it and get rid of it. If I was a makeup artist, I would definitely pay a great deal more attention to what I'm using, who I'm using it on, all of that stuff, because my makeup, the makeup that I apply and how I use it on clients is my business, and I can bring that kind of information to my YouTube channel. Also, knowledge of makeup. I do think that makeup artists tend to have a more technical approach to makeup. I actually started following Robert Welsh on recommendation from one of you guys, and I have been obsessed with his videos. He is actually a makeup artist. He's a working makeup artist and he has a YouTube channel on which he talks about makeup, and he stresses constantly that he talks about the technical side of makeup, that he thinks that makeup has rules but you don't necessarily have to adhere to them if you don't want to. So his videos are really great sources of information if you want to look at the technical aspect of it. I've said many times on this channel that I don't adhere to many rules when it comes to makeup. I don't necessarily think that makeup should have any rules, but if you are working at it from a more technical standpoint, there are obviously some rules of application of what goes on to what kind of skin tone, skin type, person, face shape, eye shape, that you have to adhere to as a makeup artist if you're going to make your client happy. And the nice thing about watching a makeup artist on YouTube is that they have that kind of information and they can provide it for you. And when I was planning this video out, I really tried to think about whether or not makeup influencers tend to be more or less restrictive with their makeup. And my decision, after quite a little bit of contemplation, was that it kind of goes both ways. Makeup influencers definitely tend to be a little bit less technical with application steps, all of those sorts of things. If you watch me or if you watch my tutorials on IGTV, you probably do see me break a lot of technical makeup rules. For instance, I don't use primer, which is something that a lot of makeup artists do recommend. I personally don't really think that primer works for me. So that's just like a little example. There are makeup rules that I'm willing to break. So in that retrospect, you might argue that influencers do tend to be a little bit happy-go-lucky with their approach to makeup. However, and this is a really interesting thing, I do think that there is a sort of pressure put onto influencers to do their makeup a certain way, to look a certain way, to use certain makeup products, and you can either succumb to that pressure and produce content and produce makeup that the vast majority seems to really like, or you can go another direction and go into the more avant-garde route. For instance, let's talk about Instagram makeup. The idea of using false lashes in every single look, of contouring a certain way, of highlighting a certain way, of doing your eye makeup in a certain way, of applying makeup in a really specific way for a really specific result. Full coverage, very full beat, that is a very Instagram trend that has been very prevalent, and makeup influencers, a lot of them do adhere to that sort of makeup. At one point, I was definitely doing it the same way. I was definitely somebody that was super interested in high coverage. I wanted to contour in that specific way. I wanted to have like that very specific way of doing my makeup in like that full beat look kind of aesthetic. But I realized that wasn't necessarily my style, and coincidentally, that also seems to be the very popular style amongst the vast majority of makeup influencers. However, it also depends on who you watch or whose content you want to take in, because a lot of people that I do follow, in fact, almost everybody that I do follow tends to adhere to similar makeup likes or dislikes as myself. A lot of the amazing people that I find on Instagram really do find themselves experimenting a lot with color, texture. They don't necessarily look for the full coverage makeup all of the time. Of course, this varies from person to person, from style to style, and I really love to see different variations and different combinations of different styles in one person's makeup aesthetic. And of course, this is an ever-changing, ever-evolving kind of thing. Nobody is ever going to have like the same makeup style remain unchanged for their entire life. But I do think that makeup influencers, you either follow what the pack is doing, or you go a completely different direction and you do whatever you want. Also, makeup influencers do tend to cater their makeup application based on what gets the most response from their viewers. I will use color correcting as an example. Something that has been a pretty big trend for a number of years would be to use a lot of color correcting on your face, especially on Instagram. So using a lot of color corrector on your face, from what I have gathered after watching several makeup artists commenting on this topic, is counterintuitive, because essentially you're adding layers and layers more onto your face, and you're also using color corrector in a greater amount than is necessary. Because the point of color corrector is, from what I can tell, is to not pile it on, is to use a little amount. But what you see makeup influencers do, arguably, is not technically correct, and arguably is not as beneficial as using less of it, but it happens to really aid in the entertainment aspect of being an influencer, because it is a lot more entertaining, if you will, to watch somebody pile on color corrector than it is for somebody to add just a little bit on. Likewise, it is also more entertaining depending on what you're looking for somebody to apply makeup in a certain way, to literally just like take makeup and drip it on their face and blend it out using a beauty blender, or blend it out using a bell pepper or an avocado or a condom. That seems to be more entertaining, and that's what people tend to go for if you're an influencer. So that's where the entertainment aspect comes in. That's where it stops being about the application, and it starts being a little bit more about the entertainment purposes, makeup wise, if that makes any sense. It's just, I mean, okay, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for somebody who is applying makeup in like a very entertaining way, then watching the cookie cutter influencers on Instagram, on YouTube might be a great option for you. However, if you do not match that description, then you might be a little bit more like me. I do not necessarily consider myself a makeup artist. I consider myself a makeup lover. But I have found myself watching a lot of really amazing and really talented makeup artists on YouTube, well, YouTube mostly, and also on Instagram, in an attempt to improve my own way of applying makeup and learn how to apply makeup better on my own face and potentially others. I mean, though mostly my own face, because like I said before, I'm not a working makeup artist, I just do makeup on myself. So I have learned different ways and different techniques and different nuances that work better for my face. I have also learned throughout the years that it is totally fine to not do your makeup like an Instagram baddie. I do not want to do that makeup on myself because I do not think it looks like I want makeup to look on me, you know? And that is completely fine. And I have been able to watch a lot of talented individuals who have really helped me refine my makeup application in that alternative way. So I do think that personally, I think that it's good to have a mix. If you're somebody who is a makeup lover and you're somebody that really wants to have fun with makeup, at the same time you want to learn how to apply the makeup in the best way for you, watching makeup artists is a really great opportunity to learn all of this information. I am actually working on a list of makeup artists' channels that I want to recommend to you guys. I'm still curating it. I still want to include the best of the best that I have found so far, which is why I'm gonna release that video probably in a little bit, but not right now. But I have been finding a lot of really great, talented, technically driven makeup artists. And I like taking certain nuances, certain concepts, certain ideas, certain methods and tips for application from them and implementing it into my own channel, my own routine, my own creativity. I find that that can be really refreshing and that can be really helpful for me. I learn new things every day from watching YouTube, and especially from watching makeup artists on this platform. There is so much you can learn, and I strongly suggest watching a wide variety of makeup artists, or just consuming their content, because I think that makeup artistry is just that, artistry, and everyone has their own way of doing things, and everyone has their own way of interpreting certain makeup techniques and certain methods of application to suit their own styles. And it's all about finding a wide array of makeup artists in order to pick apart the things from each certain artist that you really like and relate to, so you can apply them to your own makeup routine and to your own makeup style. I still love watching influencers for the entertainment aspect. I still love watching my fellow YouTubers because I really enjoy their content, but at the same time, I have sort of veered away from watching YouTube or watching makeup influencers simply for the entertainment, and I watch them because I want to learn something now. I watch some of my favorite smaller influencers because I want to learn about product. I want to learn about what's new on the market and what their opinions are of those products. I also want to learn about makeup trends, makeup styles. I want to see people's perspectives on the industry. That's why I watch smaller influencers specifically, and there are so many other reasons, of course, but I really love generally watching smaller influencers because they tend to have like a very similar makeup approach to my own. They want to wear makeup because it's so much fun. They want to apply makeup for the fun of it, for the artistry of it, but at the same time they're not necessarily going to be all clickbaity with their videos. They're not going to look for that shock value with their makeup application. They're going to look at it from more of an artistic standpoint, which is something I find really refreshing. I watch makeup artists because I want to learn more about technique. I want to learn about how to apply makeup in a way that looks good on my face. And I also want to learn how to get better at a hobby that I care about so deeply. So that is pretty much all I want to say for this video. This is a pretty long video already, but I do hope to maybe edit it down so it's a little bit more comprehensive for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it insightful. Thank you again, Lauren, for coming up with this idea. I just did my own spin on it, but she came up with this idea, so I'd suggest checking her channel out if you haven't done so already. But with that, thank you so much for your time today, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.